From coast to coast, it's time to hear from the three guys who thought they had a chance to make it big. Welcome into the Coulda Been Great Show.
Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Coulda Been Great Show. And we have the squad back, Tanner, JR, and Jason. Jason, you got to fill us in a little bit. How was the trip to, where'd you go, Utah, I think? It looked like I saw like a resort style golf course. You left us hanging last week, but it might have been well worth it.
It was fun. I needed it. The golf game needed some more work before I went up there to that nice of a course, but we got it done.
How many golf balls did you lose?
I haven't done a full inventory yet. I'm doing that later, so I'll keep you posted.
You might not want to check. All right, guys, we're back, and so is the NFL. Obviously, Thursday night, the Kansas City Chiefs went to work. They started a little slow, but once again, they kind of looked like the Super Bowl champs as the game started to, unfold a little bit. So let's start with, the NFL, and we talk a little bit about players that we were surprised by. Obviously, Kansas City, Pat Mahomes is going to be Pat Mahomes. But how about Clyde Edwards-Helaire, a kid that came out to LSU and, was really good at LSU, but a lot of people thought he may have been undersized, but he proved to be pretty good. And if they can get a running back in that passing attack, that's going to be really tough to slow down.
It's going to be dangerous. That's not even going to be fair. Right? I mean, Patrick Mahomes, he didn't even really have to do anything, even though he did. He did, 3 touchdowns, whatever. I mean, but they didn't even need to. And Edward, he's going to get so many – his numbers are going to be so crazy because they're going to be ahead probably in so many games, and they're just going to feed him the ball at the end of the games and close it out. And that's going to be all right there. That's going to be crazy.
Yeah, I was surprised how many touches he got. Darrell Williams got a few, but, I mean, to have the rookie rush that many times – the only thing I think we saw that he struggled with is, I'm not sure if you guys watched this, but there was a time when they were on like the 1 yard line and he got like 3 straight carries. And he didn't, because like I said, he's a smaller guy. I'm not sure if that's an issue that comes up where he may not be as efficient around the goal line. But speaking to the Chiefs as a whole, they didn't even break a sweat that game. They could do whatever they want, it felt like. So, yeah, he was impressive though, got to say.
The only thing they couldn't do is get Andy Reid out of captivity. He looked like a walrus stuck behind like a glass wall on a Zoom with his
What is that? What is that?
I don't. He was wearing those face masks, and then he started breathing heavy, and it started getting humid. He was fogged up. I felt so bad for the guy. I was like, man,
you gotta love Andy Reid. You gotta love Andy Reid, man.
Yeah, no,
I'm happy for him.
They're going to be one of the favorites again in the NFL. And, that kind of brings us to our next topic, guys. With Kansas City having so many fantasy standouts, let's switch the gears a little bit and go, some players that we think are underrated and have a chance to be, underrated fantasy stars this year, because each year, there's a handful of players that can make or break your season if you, pick them up on a waiver wire or something like that. Start with you, Jason.
Sure. I'll do my first one. If you're in the league with me, all 3 of my leagues, I got this guy round 8, round 7, kind of this range, and he's a running back for the 49ers, Raheem Mostert, Raheem the Dream. I think because everyone's kind of scared of the 49ers, like, oh, it's a committee, right? They always think it's a committee. If you look at towards the end of last year and even the playoffs, you saw that, sure, there were some injuries with Coleman and McKinnon. But if you look at the way he was used and how they were able to spread him out and give him the ball in different ways, I think even if it is a committee starting out, he's the most talented one in that committee. I think by the end of the season, maybe that midway point, he starts to break away again and can win your league down the stretch. So Raheem the Dream for me.
JR, you want to throw one out there?
Yeah, I don't even know if this guy's going to count really as a breakout or sleeper, but I think Chris Godwin, I think his numbers in Tampa Bay are just going to be crazy this year, even better than they were last year. Just Mike Evans, he's not going to be healthy probably more than 6 games, completely healthy. He won't be that at all. So and Tom Brady's just going to, have him to dump it off to, especially when Mike Evans isn't there. And even when he is there, he'll get doubled and open it up for Godwin a lot more. So I think Godwin's going to really have a crazy numbers year this year.
And I know that, it's not really an underrated pick, but I was kind of stuck between two guys that I thought were going to have breakout years, and both of them come in wide receivers. But I ultimately settled with Calvin Ridley of the Atlanta Falcons. I think that Matt Ryan's going to come back to his form. They struggled last year offensively. And I think it's going to help him having a threat to catch the ball out of the backfield. And everyone always has to focus, rightfully so, on Julio Jones. And I thought last year we started to see Calvin Ridley kind of peek out behind the curtains of where he could be a guy that you could depend on to get you 5 to 10 catches and almost 100 yards per game last season. So I think he's a guy that we need to keep our eye on in the fantasy world of could come out and could have a big year for somebody this year.
Yeah, that's a good pick. I mean,
my other one is Tyler
I hope
Lockett.
I hope so because I drafted Ty Gurley on my fantasy team. So I think that's going to open it up even more for Ridley because they're going to have a better running game. If Todd Gurley can stay healthy, they'll have a much better running game than they have ever, really.
Yeah.
My other guy was Tyler Lockett, and that was the top that I was trying to decide.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Jason.
My second one, and it's a Jacksonville Jaguar. You're gonna think, "Wow, this guy's crazy for picking that."
DJ Chark.
I drafted him in our league. I think it was round 5. I get him round 5, round 6 area. 2 words why DJ Chark's gonna have a great year: garbage time. That team's going to be terrible. The team's going to be behind 20, 30 points at the end of games. And you saw even in the Texans game how, Deshaun Watson to Will Fuller down the stretch, it was just easy points because, the Chiefs are up so much they don't have to stress out. And I think he's the main recipient of the garbage time there with Jacksonville. You already saw the rapport him and Minshew have because he was great last year. He was the 19th ranked receiver, which is pretty good for a rookie, right? And he has other physical traits. So I think that it's someone that people sleep on that can actually have a pretty impactful year.
JR?
That's not bad. I'm going to go with kind of a homer pick here. I'm a Cowboys fan, of course, five-time world champion Cowboys.
8-time, it should have been our year.
It should have been our year. But this year is our year, damn it. I'm hoping CD Lamb goes. I hope he has one of those just crazy rookie years. You know what I mean? He's gonna kind of open up. I think he's gonna be our middle, open it up in the middle because I'm on the outside with Amari
Cooper.
Thank you, goodness gracious, and Gallup on the other side, and with CD Lamb coming up through the middle without us having a dominant tight end. I think CD Lamb's gonna be our kind of guy to open it up the seams and in the middle and hopefully do some damage.
Yeah, and I could definitely see that happening.
Well,
yeah, and what do you think about the Cowboys? Because, they are so talented offensively. How's their defense going to look this season? Because that's going to tell how much time they're going to spend on the field.
It's going to be our DBs, man. And also if we can keep our people on the field from getting suspended and whatnot like they always do every year. And we keep signing them for some reason. But anyway, our DBs, man, that defensive back, we cannot seem to get it right. We have great defensive linemen, great linebackers between Smith and Vanderbosch. I mean, it's going to be up against our DBs, and we get bombed on all game, every game, it seems like. So if they can get it together, hopefully.
You have CU Buff legend Chidobe Awuzie on the squad.
There you go.
That's my guy. So hopefully he starts.
Hey, I like him. Hopefully he'll help us out a lot.
And I think for the Cowboys, it's going to come down big time, when we talk about fantasy numbers to, what type of games they play in. Are they going to be in the shootout where they have to pass the ball, or are they going to be a team that, is dominant up front and can control the game, with their defense and running game, because that'll ultimately affect, how much Zeke's used and how much Dak has to toss it around to the mixture of those 3 wide receivers. But my second underrated fantasy sleeper, Jason and I kind of talked about this kid a while back, and I think he's going to have a big year, is Kenyon Drake down in the Arizona Cardinals. When he was traded to, obviously, a guy that started the season last year in Miami, and he was, so-so, not really that great, but a change of scenery can really, amplify a guy's game. He goes to Arizona, 123 rush attempts, over 640 yards, 8 touchdowns. he really exploded, and I think it's only going to help the running game that they get a guy like DeAndre Hopkins in there that can spread out the field a little bit and, make it more of a threat downfield with Christian Kirk and a few other guys.
Kirk's going to do good, too, yeah.
And I think they're going to be a good team. I could see, it's kind of crazy to say, but I could see 4 teams in the NFC West making the playoffs. 2 as a wild, a couple as a wild card. That's a really, really tough division with, throwing Arizona, the Rams, the 49ers, the Cardinals. Like, they're going to beat up on each other, no doubt. But definitely. I think that be a pretty good option on both sides.
It's going to be fun to watch that division for sure.
Yeah. All right, let's flip the script. We're going to start with you on this one, JR. Biggest bust, fantasy bust, and I pray that it's not anybody on my team.
I don't want to be called a hater because it's a team in my division.
No haters here.
I think Carson Wentz is going to be a bust this year. I don't think they have enough around him to do anything. They're going to struggle offensively, I think, and I don't think he's going to have good numbers at all this year.
What about you, Jason?
Mine is someone that's actually been regarded as one of the better running backs in football. I don't think it's going to happen this year. It's Nick Chubb. A couple reasons. One, Kareem Hunt, the addition of Kareem Hunt last year. You saw whenever Hunt and Chubb were both active, that back stretch of the season, when it came to fantasy points in like half PPR formats, Hunt had more points.
They
just extended him. They like him there. Not saying that Chubb's not going to get his touches. He is. Right. But if you're looking for him to be your number 1 running back on your team, maybe temper your expectations a little bit. I just worry about that. Nothing against Chubb himself. It's just more of a Kareem Hunt's going to be involved kind of deal for me. So, Chubb.
I can see that happening. You guys might think I'm absolutely crazy for this one, but in me, as your fantasy bust, I trusted him for so many years with my fantasy team, and he just never quite got there, or he was hurt. I'm going to go with Mike Evans, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think, as much as people look at that wide receiver core, you mentioned it, JR. Chris Godwin got a majority of the grabs last year. Mike Evans is on and off the field. Sometimes he's good, sometimes he's bad. Everyone's really high on him this year, saying, they got Tom Brady now. It's all going to change. But Brady, as much as you want to say it, Brady is not going to sling the football around like Jameis Winston did. He's just not going to do it. It's going to be a much more, a staggered passing attack. Those intermediate passes. And it seems like Mike Evans is, can become, if he wants to be, kind of a home run threat. But I think he might struggle this year just because they do have so many targets, and he hasn't proved to stay healthy. He's hurt here and there.
Plus, he's already off to a bad start in the health department. He already has a hamstring issue.
That's why
I agree.
I feel like I've drafted him like the last 3 years, and he'll have some really good games, and then he'll just blow. Jason, you probably thought I was going to Devontae Freeman, huh?
I thought I don't know who you were, because you always had Devontae Freeman. I feel like you had Gurley one year. I don't know where you're going to go, but that one caught me off guard a little bit, because he's a guy that's he's been really good, right? When he's on the field, he's really good. So
but he only plays you 13 games, and that'll make or break your fantasy season right there.
He'll play 13 of them, but he's like crazy hurt and won't produce in
right. And that's kind of like me last year. I had Amari Cooper. It was similar. Cooper would play through his injuries, but when he did, he wasn't doing anything.
He didn't do anything, but you had to play him. You know what I mean? Right. So it's tough, but it's going to be interesting to see.
That brought up a thought. Hear me out on this. Jameis Winston isn't as bad a quarterback as everyone makes him out to be.
Depends what your
attributes. He's got it. I think it's right.
Attributes,
here.
Definitely attributes.
Yeah, but up here is where you win playoff and meaningful games.
Oh yeah. I think this year might allow him to regain himself a little bit, having to work behind a guy like Drew Brees. He's obviously not going to see the field unless Brees gets hurt, which you never know. He is 40 years old. So sorry, JR.
Hey, I'm not in the NFL though, so I'm nowhere near the NFL. So yeah, it's all right.
I'm excited for tomorrow, though. Everyone, we kind of get a chance to see what it looks like. Obviously, you know, it sucks having to wait until Monday night at 10 o'clock out here to watch the Broncos. But, you know, for fantasy fans, tomorrow's, you know, a dream come true. So it should be plenty of fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be fun.
And then for basketball fans as well, NBA playoffs continue. Nuggets play at 1 tomorrow, so it's going to be kind of a strange deal trying to watch them and watch my fantasy. But, hey, that's what sports is all about.
That's what sports is about.
You know, we went months with talking, you know, we didn't know what we were going to do without sports, and then all of a sudden we have it back. And, you know, we got multiple things going on once. You're checking multiple, you know, phones, iPads, computers, and it's just it's part of the fun of playing fantasy sports. But, yeah, let's move on to the NBA. You kind of brought it up a little bit. You know, what did you think so far? Obviously, everyone's favorite in the East, Milwaukee, gone. And I am, like you guys said, really looking forward to watching the Heat and Celtics put on a show in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah. It's two teams that are young, hungry. Like, you can see it. Like, the Heat all year have played super hard. Like, Jimmy Butler is really, like,
they're not the most talented.
No.
They're not. But they play hard. I have no idea who's going to win that series. Like, I really don't. Yeah, I think, you know, Jimmy Butler's got some more experience, you know, than I guess Tatum, Kemba are kind of your best two. They don't have a ton of deep playoff experience, so it'll be fun, man. I'm looking more forward to the Eastern Conference Finals than the Western Conference Finals, to be honest.
I think definitely on paper you look at it, and the Celtics are probably the more talented team, you know, top to bottom. But like you said, you know, the Miami Heat have just been playing with so much fire and intensity, and you know, you bring in a rookie like Tyler Hero, who's been nailed in the playoffs, making a lot of really tough, difficult shots. And, yeah, I'm really looking forward to that as well. JR, were you surprised that the Greek Freak had a quick exit? And do you think this is his future? We're prolonging that future that he might not be in Milwaukee maybe next year or the year after.
I mean, he has an option, right? Like, he has an option.
He doesn't have an option this year. He would have to be traded.
Next year? Okay. After that, he's a free agent. Right. I did when we talked about basketball or a couple shows ago. I think I had picked Boston to win the East, come out of the East. I think. And I think
I can't remember.
Pick Miami.
Yeah, you did. I had Milwaukee. So
you had Milwaukee. Okay. But yeah, man, Boston, man, they're different, man. I love Brad Stevens. I really do like Brad Stevens. That dude could just coach. And but you got to know going up against a Miami Heat team coached by Eric Spoelstra, they're going to play hard. That dude, you want to talk about some coaching, he might deserve Coach of the Year every year just because he gets a team to the playoff with Jimmy Butler. You know what I mean? That's just the main guy. No discredit to Jimmy Butler, but with Jimmy Butler and then nowhere near All-Stars on the team, that's impressive.
Bam Adebayo.
Oh yeah, Bam Adebayo. Yeah. Forgot about him, but damn, them dudes go hard.
Yeah,
I like it. I respect them a lot, but I think Boston I think they're gonna have too much for them. I think Boston just has too much for the East.
Yeah, I think in guard plays where it's gonna obviously, you know, we talk about guards winning, winning in the playoffs, and I think that is gonna be, you know, you get a guy that's gonna go up against, you know, who would it be? Tyler Hero and
Dragic.
Yeah. Is he back to starting? I know he's coming off the bench for a while.
Yeah, he's kind of taking Kendrick Nunn's spot. Nunn doesn't play as many minutes now as Dragic. Dragic's been playing really good ball. So,
who's the other white guy that's a really good three-point shooter?
Duncan Robinson.
Yeah, Duncan Robinson, yeah. So that's going to be it. Yeah, that'll be an interesting series. But, I mean, they're really perimeter-oriented besides, you know, Jimmy Butler, and you throw in a couple of older guys down the stretch for him. But, no, I'm looking forward to that. And then in the West, obviously, you know, game, 5 tonight between the Lakers and the Rockets. Do you guys think the Lakers, obviously, you know, this is going to be put out to the public in a couple of days or, you know, maybe tomorrow. Do you guys think the Lakers eventually move on?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah,
I don't think Houston can't do anything with Los Angeles. It's over. That's it. It's over.
I don't think Houston wins another game. It's been entertaining though. Like I gotta say, watching LeBron play like the level he's been playing on this series have been like some of his block shots. I don't know if you guys have been watching every game, but he's made some throwback LeBron style plays, which have been great.
Man, Tanner, you know, I'm a huge LeBron fan. Like,
Yeah.
I love LeBron, man. That dude, it's amazing that dude just gets so disrespected still. Just like people just talk so much trash about LeBron, and I do not understand it at all. At all. That dude, he still might be the best player in the NBA at his age. It's crazy. It's crazy.
I think the small ball experiment failed on the Rockets.
Oh yeah, that I don't think that had a chance. Not with
Russell
the players he
Westbrook,
had.
though, maybe the bubble MVP, Russell Westbrook.
Yeah, you're just trying to make me mad now.
He's trying to poke the bear a little bit. That guy, he's super talented, but man, when he's not good, he is not good at all.
He's super athletic. I'm not gonna let you say talented.
Oh,
he's
yeah.
very athletic.
Very.
He's talented.
He needs to stop shooting beyond after he gets past the free throw line. Stop shooting.
The most inefficient player in the NBA. Sorry.
I'm not even gonna argue. I can't argue with that. Tanner, you can't argue with that.
Are you done, Jason?
I'm done. I'm drinking my water in the line.
Nuggets Clippers. You guys think it's probably over in Game 6?
This is gonna break y'all's heart, but yeah, I don't know if it's over Game 6, but I think the Clippers are gonna win the series either way. I don't know.
It's hard to go against LeBron, but I think top to bottom, the Clippers are probably the best team in the NBA. I mean, at least on paper, they can obviously have bad nights when they don't show up. They're not very good, but when they do, when they are all on and they want to win, there's not many teams, offensively or defensively that can, hang with them.
Yeah.
And Zubats has been huge for him. Like, still don't know why in the hell the Lakers traded him to the Clippers, but I think that might came back to bite him at some point.
Good. And I think you're seeing what the impact of a top tier defensive, backcourt looks like, because Jamal Murray's getting bodied up this series. Like, he has not been anything like he was in the Utah series. Any of our guards. I mean, Jokic is getting his, but you're seeing what Pat Bev and what Kawhi and Paul George can do, and it's scary. And if they're hitting their shots, they can't. I don't see how anyone can beat them.
At least in 7. At least in 7 games, yeah. I don't see how anyone.
Yeah, I think the Nuggets bow out tomorrow, unfortunately.
I mean, I'm proud of the Nuggets. Obviously, we're Nuggets fans. They could have easily went away. And when you look at it, like, the Nuggets have some real missed opportunities in the series. Like, realistically, they could have won a couple of those games they ended up losing. But, they were down 16 in Game 5, battled back, and found a way to win that game. So whatever happens, but like I tell Jason always, you get to Game 7 and you never know what can happen. That's all that matters.
Yeah, it's true, for sure.
But yeah, I'm saying Nuggets in 7.
There you go. There you go.
I love
biased opinion. Biased opinion coming at you.
It's all right.
On the record saying that, but I hope you're right.
I don't think it'll happen, but you never know. The Nuggets play better backs against the wall. Backs against the wall. That's all that matters. But all right, guys, let's move on.
Sorry, but Jokic, he is amazing. I love watching him play.
If he could improve on the defensive end, I would say he's a top 5 player in the NBA. But he struggles there. But he's no doubt the best offensive center in the NBA. There's no question.
I love watching him.
The Jokic Embiid debate is over. It should.
There's no debate.
Yeah, it's over now. There was a couple, like last year, even some of my friends out here this year said, it's kind of a toss-up between those two, and that's dead.
Give me Jokic all day long over Embiid.
Embiid can block shots, but like Jokic is your offense. I mean, he does so much stuff. Like he touches the ball probably when he's in 95% of the Nuggets possessions, and is probably in between assists and points probably is what am I trying to say? Is good for half of the points the Nuggets score, whether it comes off assists or buckets. He's just, so catalyst for us. But let's move on from the NBA. We still got about a couple of minutes, 10, 15 minutes here, guys. Let's talk a little bit about Major League Baseball because, this is a season that coming in, we didn't know what the heck was going to happen. 60 games, everything was strange, top to bottom. But it looks like we're going to get it done. I mean, they're already past the 40-game mark. Most teams have, I guess I can't say most because COVID has – there's some teams that have played 10 less games than other teams. But, it looks like we're going to get to a postseason. Just overall thoughts on what we've seen so far.
It was sloppy starting out, and you know me, it's really hard for me to stay super locked into baseball when the Rockies aren't doing as well. So recently I haven't been watching as much, but when it started out, a lot of games suspended, COVID stuff popping up all over the place. And I think they went a week straight. Like, I think this is I was reading something today that said that this is the first week of the baseball season where there's been no games canceled or postponed. So
wow,
hopefully that's
wow.
Well, that ended last night when the Giants and the Padres
of course it
played
did.
because of a positive COVID test. But
well, we almost made it.
That stinks.
yeah, but no, I agree. I think we've seen a chance to see a little bit of a different side of the game, and more teams being pressed. Like, I don't know if it's just because due to the fact that there were such an strange season, but man, the Yankees have been so unimpressive. Like geez, but the Rays last time I checked had like a 3-game lead, and the Yankees were in third in the AL, like within their division. I don't know how I feel about that.
That's crazy. I had no idea. Like, I haven't been keeping up with baseball much at all, like I normally would this season for some reason. I don't know. I have no idea why, but yeah, man, that's crazy. I didn't know the Yankees were that far behind.
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. But
I mean, this is the kind of year for those underdog, or maybe not the underdog teams, but those teams that aren't thought of to be, some of the top teams in baseball, where they can get themselves a title because of the shortened season. So
absolutely, and that kind of brings us to our next topic a little bit. If we do get to that postseason, Major League Baseball has kind of set out this plan that's nearly finalized, I guess you would say. All they need right now is the approval from the Players Association to have somewhat of a Major League Baseball playoff bubble that's really similar to, what we've seen in the NHL and the NBA. What are your guys' thoughts on that? You think this is a smart move by Major League Baseball to try and, they say if we get to this point, then we'll lock down the, whether they wait until the second round, or what's your guys' kind of thoughts on, this whole bubble thing in Major League Baseball? Because there could be a lot more teams than, say, the NBA.
Yeah, I think, man, we've seen it work, though. It's worked in NBA and NHL. And, look at, like you said, last night, the streak ended of the, no game, somebody positive test. If they want to have a playoffs, I think they're going to have a bubble. I really do think so.
Just because of the fact that, it's so regionalized right now with, the NL West playing the AL West, vice versa for the NL East, AL East. What were you going to say, Jason?
I'll say I don't see really any downsides to doing a bubble. I think when I was reading, some of the players have concerns not being able to see their families for that long, because some teams that go on road trips now towards the end of the year will, like, if they go right from the road trip to the bubble, it's going to be tough for them to see their families, which, I feel for those guys. But when it comes to, like, the league itself, I think it makes sense. I don't see a downside of it.
Yeah,
so what playing in the Rangers ballpark for the World Series? I don't like that park. The new one, something about it. The way it looks.
That, and I don't like turf. I prefer natural grass, and they have turf there, and the ball runs or moves really quickly on that turf. But here's like the plan, I guess you would say, that they have kind of put in place right now, which would happen. The wild card series. The AL and NL would host all the games in those, and then once we get to the divisional series, highest remaining National League team would host in Arlington, and then the next NL team would host in Houston, and vice versa for the AL. It would be AL seed in San Diego for the highest one, and the second one would be in Los Angeles, and then it moves to San Diego and Arlington for the conference championship, and then World Series in Arlington ending no later than October 28th. So it's pretty strange. That's, nice areas where they should expect to have good weather.
Yeah,
but
that's what I was about to say. The weather at least would be nice for them.
yeah, and then I think it's interesting that they would send the NL teams to Texas, and all the AL teams would go to California. But, I think they're just trying to keep it simple. And they saw, like you said, JR, they saw that it worked. The NBA has done this basically flawless.
Flawless.
Besides a few players being dumb, going out and doing what was it,
Stupid
Daniel?
stuff. Going to pick up some wings, or Lou Williams went to pick up wings from a strip club.
Did anyone hear what?
I've heard those
hear what
wings
Daniel
are
House
delicious, though. I've heard they're really good. From what I've heard.
Wings. What is his name? Daniel House? Is that his name that plays for the Rockets?
Yeah.
Anybody know what he did? Apparently, like he got, and then all of a sudden they're just like, he's gone. He left.
Yeah, so the reports are that there was like a female that was suspected to be in his room, like one of the like nurses giving the COVID test in the bubble, but no one actually saw it or anything. It's kind of like hearsay. So I don't know a ton, but yeah, he's gone apparently.
So dude's spitting game to the COVID nurse, and she's got this
I think he was
thing
like
in his
married
nose,
with
like, "Hey,
kids,
baby,"
though.
you know.
I think he's like married with kids, so
Wow.
I don't know, man. I don't want to get involved in Daniel House's business, but that's just what I heard.
That's incredible.
Yeah, that is crazy. But no, I mean, they've done a great job, though. I mean, outside of that, no tests since when? No positive tests since it started, basically? Or no, I guess when it first started, there was a couple of guys that came in with it, but there's been nothing inside the bubble.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it.
And now,
good for them.
And now family's there, right? Now they got a few of their family members there. So I think the NBA's done a great job. NHL hasn't had any problems either. So we'll see what happens. Definitely something to keep our eye on, though, going forward is, what that atmosphere is going to be like for an NBA finals or a conference finals, because, they're so used to a hyped up, crazy environment, but it's going to be, their friends and family. But I think the NBA's done a good job of kind of like setting the environment. It kind of seems like a TV studio almost, everyone's kind of on top of you watching you on the court.
Yeah, no, I like it just because, I mean, and, again, I'm a fan of pro wrestling and stuff, and they've been doing that in pro wrestling for a while now with the monitors and everything. So I like it. I like it a lot.
One team that nobody has picked to win the Super Bowl, who's it going to be? Go, Jason.
Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
JR picked the Bills to win the division last week. I was telling Jason about that.
Yeah.
I think
continuity. They didn't lose it. Like, it's kind of the same core group of guys. I think Josh Allen, I know I missed out on the sleeper MVP pick, but Josh Allen's my sleeper MVP guy this year.
Oh, man.
That defense is scary. There you go, Bills.
Okay. I'm not mad at that, Tanner. You go. What you think?
No, just when Jason said that, it's brought up that I got to apologize to Von Miller. Picked him as my sleeper pick to win the defensive MVP last week from JR.
That's right.
He has his dislocated Achilles in like some random practice in the last play.
What does that even mean?
Yeah,
dislocated Achilles?
A dislocated tendon in his ankle. Yeah, what does that mean? Jason, you've had more ankle problems than anyone I know. What does that
mean? Maybe that's what I have going on down here. I don't know. Maybe I'm going to start calling it that.
There you go.
I've just got a dislocated tendon. Yeah. It doesn't sound fun, though. Whatever.
None whatsoever.
My underrated team that nobody's talking about to win the Super Bowl is going to be the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah.
Okay.
Do that for sure.
It all depends on how Big Ben comes back. All the pieces are there. James Conner, Juju. Their defense is good. Like, they just have to produce on offense. Mason Rudolph, obviously, wasn't the answer last year, and they, were an okay team. They weren't great, but, they have a chance if he can come back to form and they can, make some things happen to, who knows? Bet on you bet $100, you probably win like 10 grand. So might as well throw it out there. JR?
I'm going to go with Indianapolis. Okay. Go Wolfpack, Phillip Rivers. Go get you one. You deserve one. You deserve to go in the Hall of Fame with the Super Bowl ring. You deserve it. You will be in the Hall of Fame. Get your ring on your way.
Jason, we talked about that last week. We're going to make it quick here, but we talked about that last week. What do you think about Phillip Rivers being one of the greatest quarterbacks to never win a Super Bowl? Do you agree with that topic? Or the greatest, maybe?
He's in the discussion. I have to see on paper who else hasn't won a Super Bowl that's been really good.
Well, Dan Marino is the number one that comes. Yeah. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Number one. Yeah. That's pretty much who he's competing with.
Broncos fan, Chargers.
Crybaby.
But just taking that aside, like he's had a really good career.
Crybaby, you better watch your mouth.
Oh, here we go.
We love when Phillip Rivers cries. That's my favorite part of everything.
The best trash talker without ever saying a cuss word ever.
Gosh darn you, darn it.
Yeah. Love him.
Yeah.
That's great. All right, guys, any finishing thoughts here? Jason, wrap us up. Got anything you want to say here before we in the show and get ready for week 1 of the NFL season?
Going baseball, Rockies' path to the playoffs starts tonight. Big win last night. We're going to keep the momentum rolling. I know I'm usually not the most positive Rockies fan, but I think I feel some good vibes coming. So,
JR, spit real quick. Let's go.
Check out Effin' Wrestling Podcast. Effin' Wrestling. FNWRASSLING.
Saturday shout-outs in the books, and so is another episode of the Could Have Been Great show here. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We will see you all next week. We'll talk a little bit about what we saw week 1 of the NFL season, who stood out in the fantasy world, as well as, should have the conference finals set for the NBA. But that's going to do it. We will see you all next week.